Good morning, friends. Welcome to the Porch on Maker Farm. As I've been recovering from surgery, I found myself spending a lot of time out here on the porch. It's become such a peaceful place to sit and just watch the seasons change. And it is a beautiful autumn this year. But just a month ago, this porch was completely empty and mostly forgotten. I just wasn't sure how to use it or how to keep up with decorating it for the seasons. You know what I mean? Then I got the idea to fill it with cozy things that would look good in any season, so I could just make simple changes each time without having to completely redo everything, because I just don't have time for that. So today I thought I'd take you along and show you how this space came together, how it went from empty to cozy, and how I've decorated it for fall this year, with a peek at what I might do for winter too. First, let's talk wreaths. The simplest way to make a porch welcoming, in my opinion, is a wreath. I got these beautiful fall wreaths filled with sunflowers and autumn leaves, which really dress up our doors. But I also thought about using my copper leaf wreaths that I made a few years ago on my Cricut. They are a little on the small side for these big doors, so I picked up some grasses from our farm here and I made a fluffy wreath. And then I put those grass wreaths on the door with the copper wreaths on top to give them a bit more substance. But I can't decide which one I want though. Sunflowers and autumn leaves or grass and copper. They're both so pretty, but each one gives a different feeling. Which one do you like better? Let me know and we'll see at the end here which one I ended up going with. Now, a cozy space begins with a clean slate. Greg came out to help me clean out the leaves and cobwebs that have accumulated on our porch, even though we only moved in like less than a year ago. This long telescoping duster made a huge difference in getting up to the high places on our porch. You know, I actually enjoy cleaning things up with Greg. There's something grounding about those little rituals of tidying that makes me feel like things are right in the world. That sounds silly, but it's true. Plus, they set the stage for whatever beautiful thing comes next. To ground the space, we rolled out a large outdoor rug. It softens the hard floor of stone that's here. It's beautiful stone, I love it, but it is definitely hard. And I think it brings a gentle touch of color without overpowering anything else. And I love that the green shade feels cozy enough for autumn and winter, but should still be fresh come spring and summer. Because remember, I'm trying to make a space that will look good any time of the year. It's one of those simple pieces that quietly pulls everything together no matter the season. With everything clean, it was time to transform this empty space into something special. And really that means making it inviting and comfortable. So that means seating, right? You gotta have a place to sit to be comfortable. I struggled with how to do seating out here because there really wasn't enough room for chairs on either side of the doors, which is what I probably would have done. But then I realized if I turned the seating so it faced inward, I could push it away from the doors a bit and create a cozy nook out here. So I found this inexpensive bench, which doubles as storage. I love that, which is always useful to have in any space. The seat lifts up and there's hidden storage in here. And then across from the bench, we put these two gorgeous rocking chairs. These are the same rocking chairs they have at the Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island. If you've heard of that place, it's an amazing place. These chairs also have a secret. I'll tell you what it is at the end. Now the seating is good, but it needs more. I want the space to be cozy, so it needs to look more filled in and lived in. So we added more foundational items that will stay here regardless of what season it is, starting with these big milk jug can vases right here. They're white, so they'll work for any season, and I can optionally fill them in with seasonal flowers or grasses if I feel like it at any time, or leave them empty. We added a bit of sand into the bottom of them so they wouldn't tip over in the wind too. I then filled the porch in with other neutral pieces I felt would blend easily through all seasons. I stacked some crates in the corner to get things up off the ground level and give me a place to display some things later on. On the other side of the doors, I put this white metal planter for the same reason. It gives me more height and creates a place for decorations. I added in more planters in whites and in my favorite metal, copper. The copper matches the copper metal roof on top of the porch. These pieces give the space more intention and feeling and a story, I think. I also brought over my welcome sign, which I made 7 years ago with my Cricut. It's been sitting on the porch at my house all this time, and look at how good it still looks. It's just a board painted with chalk paint and decorated with permanent vinyl. There's no sealer or anything like that on top. It's really simple, but it's awesome. I love this thing. I think this welcome sign fits in perfectly on our new farm porch, don't you think? This sign also has a secret feature. If you watched me make this 7 years ago, you may already know what it is, but if not, I'll show you at the end too. Next, I added a few pieces that help tell our story, like this little blue pickup truck. We've always loved old things with a bit of history to them, and one day we hope to have a real antique farm truck of our own. That dream has even found its way into our Maker Farm artwork, which you may have noticed. For now, this little one sits here as a stand-in, a reminder of what's to come. And each season, I can fill its little truck bed with something new to mark the time that we're in. I also placed a few vases around the porch for things that I gather when I'm out on my walks. Whether I fill them with something from the garden, a handful of wildflowers gathered from our meadows, or just some dried grasses from our fields, the vases will give me a place to put them and will make everything feel more alive. Flowers and plants always remind me to slow down and notice what's going on right now. This little black mailbox attached to the wall is the perfect spot to leave notes and flowers and little treasures too. Now, above the doors, I put up this sign to remind us why we're here, doing what we do, to craft a life we love. This sign is nothing more than a piece of wood that I painted. I first spray painted it white, then I cut out a stencil from vinyl on my Cricut, placed the vinyl on the board, and then spray painted over it again. The vinyl stencil gave me this beautiful hand-painted sign. If you'd like to learn how to make a painted sign like this for your porch or anything else really, I put a link in the video's description to my tutorial. I love this sign because not only is this JenniferMaker's motto, but it's a reminder to do what is important every day, craft a life we love. So this is the porch's foundation, and I can leave these items out year-round without fussing over them and having them look out of season, which I think is so important. But I can also dress it up when I'm in the mood, and I'm definitely in the mood for an autumn porch this year. I love decorating spaces with touches that change through the seasons. It's not only about making things pretty, it's a gentle way to stay connected to the season itself. Each new season brings its own rhythm and mood, and small changes help us notice and celebrate that shift. Rotating these simple decorations keeps the porch feeling fresh and alive, and it reminds us to pause and enjoy where we are right now before the next season arrives. To decorate this space for autumn, I first brought in pumpkins. I started with our faux pumpkins, which I think look pretty realistic. I've had some of these for years. I picked up another inexpensive one from the craft store, and then these fancy ones from Balsam Hill that were given to me as a gift. I have to admit, I love the faux pumpkins because they're always ready to go. I can just take them out of storage and put them out. But we did also visit the farm next door, which puts out pumpkins every year in its farm stands, and we picked up some beautiful pumpkins. And real pumpkins are very affordable. And I love stacking pumpkins too. Aren't these adorable? Next, I added cozy blankets and pillows to the bench and rocking chairs. I love blankets, especially in the fall. They just make the space feel so inviting and warm. My outdoor rug works for any season, but I can make it look more festive by just adding a smaller seasonal doormat on top of it, like this Hello Pumpkin doormat. Isn't it cute? I love making doormats like this with whatever saying suits my fancy at the time. I'll drop a link in the description to my doormat tutorial too, because yes, you can make this. And I sprinkled in more fall touches as I went along. Pretty little gourds I also got at the farm stand next door. Being sure to put some in the bed of a little blue truck, right? Gotta fill up that little truck. I added 2 cute little gnomes, one for me and one for Greg. I used garlands of leaves and sunflowers to fill the planters with bright orange and yellow. And I put some tall, dried corn stalks on either side of the door to give me more varieties in height. I first put the corn stalks in the big milk jug vases, but then realized I had a farm full of beautiful things that I could put into the vases instead. And I went out to gather grasses, cattails, and wildflowers instead. And they turned out just so beautiful. I just love how they look, and it's such a simple reminder of the bounty of the season. The finishing touch are some beautiful mums to add more color and life to the porch. And to make sure we keep the mums looking their best all season, we have to water them. So we put out this half barrel right next to the porch to disguise our hose inside of it. Greg came up with this idea, and I think it's brilliant. And there we go. Our porch is all decorated for autumn. I love sitting out here, watching the sunrises, and just enjoying the season. It's now one of our special places. Speaking of sunrises, there is a beautiful one right over there. This farm has the best sunrises. And when it's winter, it's simple to refresh it for the new season. In fact, that leads me to the secret of our welcome sign. When I made this years ago, I made it double-sided, so all I had to do when it was winter was turn it around. And now we have a bright red and white sign perfect for the Christmas season. There have been years where all I did was flip the sign around, but it still brightened up our porch and made us feel good. I put the link to how I made this sign in the video's description too. And I promised to explain the secret of my rocking chairs as well. These are very special chairs because engraved in the backs of the chairs are more than 400 names of fellow makers, all of whom met my challenge to make at least one thing a month for an entire year in my advanced program. Greg did the engraving on our Glowforge and then assembled them. Not only did they turn out amazing, but every time we sit in them, we know we'll be sitting alongside our fellow makers. And now there's always a place for our friends to sit on our porch. Now remember, at the start of this project, I tried out 2 wreaths on our doors. One, a classic store-bought wreath with sunflowers and autumn leaves, and the other, a simple handmade wreath with copper leaves and grasses from our wetlands. I love the handmade one, but the sunflowers just feel like pure joy. I love sunflowers. I now just love this space. It is so cozy and comfortable. This porch has become such a peaceful place to rest and listen to the birds. I don't know if you can hear them, but they're everywhere this morning, and watch the seasons change while I heal. Every detail out here, from the rocking chairs to the cozy blankets, pillows, to the wildflowers, reminds me that beauty and progress both take time, and that's okay. I can do that. And the porch will be so easy to refresh whenever I feel like it, or not at all, should the season of life call for that. And that seems pretty perfect to me. Thank you so much for joining me on the Maker Farm porch today. I always love having you here, and I hope you'll come back for winter on the porch too, and everything else that we're creating here at Maker Farm. Until next time, this is JenniferMaker reminding you to craft a life you love.